Good evening, all. I've never done this before. I've never been to one of these before, and I gotta tell you, I'm really nervous, but I feel really comfortable in the fact that I could look out there and see absolutely nothing. In about 1982, I had gotten out of college. I was a paralegal for a few years, and I was supposed to be a musician. That's what I went to college for, and I finally determined that I wasn't going to be a musician, and I certainly didn't want to be a paralegal. And so I decided to do what anybody in their late 20s would do, and that is take off a couple of years and don't work. And I moved into the cheapest, crappiest apartment building I could find in Chicago. It was in a terrible neighborhood with terrible people, terrible food all around us, terrible things to see. It was pretty terrible, if I have to tell you the truth. And the landlord of the place, the owner, was a guy named Frank. And Frank had worked at Allstate Insurance, and he had implemented their computer system for the big company of Allstate, headquartered in Chicago. He made a boatload of money, bought this apartment building, and determined that he had two choices for the rest of his life. Number one, he could work his butt off and never have time to spend money. Or number two, he could not work as long as he didn't spend too much money. He would be okay. So he chose the latter. And this guy, people back then would buy a lid of pot. Pot is something that people used to smoke instead of using a vaporizer, for those of you. And so Frank would not buy a lid of pot or a quarter or something. He'd buy a pound of dope, and he'd take it and put it in a strainer, a sifter, and he would take out all the stems and seeds. Again, stems and seeds are something that used to be in pot. And he would, now people would smoke a joint or two during a day. But Frank would take the whole pound of dope and roll it up with this rolling machine into joints. So he was able to smoke them like people smoke cigarettes, like he'd put down like a half a pack a day. And so Frank would be on the back porch smoking cigarettes, and he had taken an automobile antenna and cut it into pieces, so he had this long cigarette holder that was like Zsa Zsa Gabor, and he would smoke these joints out on the back deck of the building. Meanwhile, the guy next door to him was this biker, and he would always be out there. I don't think he smoked weed, but he'd be out there smoking cigarettes all the time, and because I don't think he was employed. But what he had this habit of doing is leaning over. I don't know if he had a constant runny nose or something, but he'd lean over the balcony, over the railing, and go, "Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh my God, I can't believe." Oh, it's okay. Anyway, so then there were these two girls upstairs. This is like Animal House. These two girls upstairs, they lived in separate rooms that were an apartment, except they shared a bathroom and they didn't know each other. And one of them was kind of this, I don't know, she was a yoga teacher or something, and the other one was smoking hot. And I made it my life's mission to sleep with this girl. And when I finally did, I got up there, and we had a great evening and stuff. And the next morning she said, "Can you walk out into the hall for a few minutes?" And I said, "Okay." And I walked out into the hall, and I came back in. She knocked on the door to let me back in. And I said, "What's going on?" And she said, "Well, Joy, the other girl, is in the bathroom, and she spends a half hour in there, and I had to make." And I said, "Well, what'd you do?" And she pointed. She had a Kroger bag, a plastic bag, and she had me. This is the girl I had just slept with toothpicks with, things that. Anyway, so of course I had the stoner weirdo landlord. I had the biker who blew his nose on people walking down along the sidewalk and stuff. And I had this girl that I wanted to be my girlfriend more than anything else in the world. And then I found out that she shit in the bag in the morning. Thank you.